Alright, I am back. I was able to get my Waves plugins installed, or get the updates done. So what I've got going right now is this mic is just raw. It's going through the mic preamp, which is cranked up, because I've got it about 18 inches away from my face, and I don't like having a microphone shoved up my nose, so that's where it's going to stay. I've got it gained up pretty well. It looks like I'm only hitting about minus 15 on the meters here. But there is no processing on this, and if I shut up, you can hear that there's a little bit of a noise floor. And what I want to be able to do is go in and utilize the Waves studio rack. Sorry, we're just gonna start over. Yes. So supposedly I can go in here, and we're just going to call it a studio rack. And that's actually going to be my Waves host. And supposedly, after the update that I just did, I should be able to launch Studio Rack, Waves Studio Rack for OBS. It's thinking. Let's see if it does this without crashing. It's thinking. Come on. Come on. Open plugin interface. Alright. Would you like to scan third-party VST plugins now? This may take... yeah, we better do that, just to make sure that everything's happy. Oh, we might be here a while, folks. And it's going to run... well, it's scanning VST... oh, it is doing a VST3. Okay. So I'm on OBS Studio 30.0.2, which is current as of a couple of days ago. We're going to allow this. There we go. All right. And this is an older machine. This machine's about 10 years old. This is an older i5 2.6 gig? Shit, I don't even remember what the hell the processor in my own computer is. We're going to go over here. Go in here, figure out. It's either 2.6 or 3.2 gig. 3.1 gig. i5 2400 CPU. I got 32 gig of RAM. Pretty much the same machine that Marshall's running. The shuttle that Marshall's running is the computer that I gave him after I found this one, because at the time he was struggling with his laptop that was full. So it looks like my scan... okay, the scan is still going. We're going to go ahead and leave this scanning. I wonder if I just throw this over here, get it out of my way, and let's see. Now I wonder if I can leave this interface, open interface when active. Okay, if I close that, alright, it is open. It is going to let me do what I want to do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shut up for a second. You're going to be able to see what the noise floor is doing on this line for this mic. So what I want to do is add a filter. But I think really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to load Scheps Omni Channel, good old Omni Channel. What that's going to let me do is run, I'll pull this guy over here. But what this is going to allow me to do is filter out background noise. Now, is there... This is the first time I've been in here. Is that bypassed? Okay, that is bypassed. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to filter some of the low noise, just the low rumble and stuff. We're going to make this a pretty steep filter. And we're going to pull this up to about 50 to 80 hertz or so. We'll just double click on it. Should give us, yeah, we're going to go 70 hertz on this. Don't really need anything below that. And then the other thing that we're going to do before I do any kind of de-essing, EQ, or compression, and actually, we'll get to this here in a second, I have a bit of a recommendation for processing order on a vocal mic, especially for videos and podcasts and things. So what we're doing first is we've got a high pass filter here, 18 dB per octave. We got that set to 70 hertz. We're not running any extra gain or anything in here. We're not using the internal pre and saturation, anything in that. We might later. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to activate this gate. But instead of gating, we are going to use the expander. And you'll notice, usually what I like to do is I'll start by pulling my threshold up about half, my floor about half, and pull the close down about half. Pretty much zero everything out at 12 o'clock position. And that seems to be a pretty good place to start when I'm trying to clean up a track. And what I really like about this expander is it does a really great job of cleaning up background noise and noise floor from a track, whether it be an instrument or a dirty microphone from a location shot or something. Those of you that are doing video work, out of your house somewhere, if you've got background ambient noise that you want to clean up and filter, don't gate it. Switch from the gate mode to the expander mode. And then I'm going to shut up and watch this noise floor as I start adjusting the threshold, the floor, the close, and the attack settings on this gate portion of the plugin here. Again, this is Scheps Omni Channel from Waves, and it's got two modes on the gate. They call it a gate, but in the gate you actually have two modes. You can go noise gate or expander mode. And an expander is it's some voodoo shit. A lot of people don't really mess with expanders, and over the last year or so I've really started focusing on doing this as opposed to using noise gates, because I honestly hate the way noise gates work. We all know that they chatter. No matter what you do, there's always a problem. There's always something that pops or doesn't come through. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. We'll get into noise gates another time. So you can see right there, just by pulling the threshold up, leaving the floor and everything as it is, it does a pretty good job of getting rid of the ambient noise floor there. It's probably a little choppy would be my guess, and I won't know until I go back and listen to this. But by default, I know that if I pull this stuff up, usually about like so, and if I slow the attack, it's usually going to do a much better job of cleaning this up. So I'm going to shut up again, and we're going to see what it does to clean up the background noise that's here. That looks pretty good. So now the other thing that I notice is that even with this mic as far away as it is, with the mic preamp that I'm running into, which is the channel 2 of one of my Focusrite Sapphire Pro 40s, I've got that mic gain or that mic preamp cranked, and it does bring out a little bit of the noise for the mic, but it also accentuates some of the top end crunch that's in this mic. And for that, we're going to use the de-esser module. We're going to narrow this filter just a little bit, and I think it was right around, I'm guessing around probably 6K. So we can just double click here. 6,000. I'm just going to pull this threshold down until I start seeing a little bit. I just want to knock the S's and the sibilants down 3 to 6 dB maybe and just leave it. S, s. Let's see. Let's see. See. Let's see. Maybe we'll go a little bit aggressive. See. She sells sanctuary. Yeah, that's a song I started learning yesterday. She, see. Okay. So now, another thing that's cool about this Omni Channel plugin is on the de-esser channel, or on the de-esser strip, you have two de-esser channels, 1 and 2. So you've actually got two different filters that you can use. And if you're not sure what it is that you're actually de-essing, you can hit these little solo buttons and it will tell you exactly what you are filtering. That works on both. And then if you feel like you're getting any significant, see, I said significant, and the S's are being de-essed a little. If you feel like you've lost a little bit of output, you've got some makeup gain down here in the bottom. So the first thing that I want to look at is without the de-esser on, looking at my input level. Check, check. Hey, 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 hey. This is nowhere near where we want this thing. So we're going to pull our input up a little bit. Hey, hey, check, check. That's a little hot. We don't need it nearly that hot. Check, 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 check. Now, the one thing that we do want to make sure and look at is, well, we did get a little clip down here. Oh, that's great. The minute I click on that interface, it pulls up the Studio Rack page. You know what? I could do that over there. Let's double click this. You know what? Is there a reset? Okay, Alt click in OBS will reset your plugin parameters. But as far as my makeup gain, looks like I can adjust via Studio Rack here. So I'm going to pull my mic gain up. Yeah, let's give it about 6 dB just so that we're helping Studio Rack out a little bit. And you can see over here with that additional 6 dB, I'm getting some more level. Check, check, check. Hey, 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 hey. That's a little hot, I think. You know what? We're just going to leave it, see what it does. This isn't a song. This is me talking about dumb stuff. So we'll just see what this does, and I can always go back later. Going back to, so we got our de-esser. Now, if I want to compress this a little bit, which I might want to compress this, I've got a compressor in Omni Channel. You've got 3 different modes. You got VCA, FET, and optical mode. And you can run in stereo duo, which is split mono essentially, or you can run mid-side. And you got your common controls. You got your your threshold, ratio, your attack, your release. Down here at the bottom, you've got mix and your output. You do have a sidechain section if you want to utilize that. You could go in here and filter this if you wanted to. And you can even go into these. A lot of people don't realize this about Omni Channel, but in all 5 of these modules, you have an expanded page where you've got some additional filters and buttons and things that you can get into. So, and again, this is left and right. I'm not really worried about that. We're going to make that go away. But the really cool thing about Omni Channel that I like is that we can drag and drop and reorganize our signal path. So the order of our modules can be changed. And the reason that's important is that anytime you use a compressor by nature is going to it's going to cut off some of your high end. Not cut off. It's going to dull some of your high end. So if you notice that happening, if you're getting really aggressive with your compression, you can always go back in with your EQ after your compressor, and you can push up your top end a little bit if you want with like a little bit of a high shelf. Pull this down to about where you start seeing the sibilants and things kicking in, just a little bit above, just to add some air back into that vocal. But for now, we're just going to bypass this EQ because I'm not really doing anything that needs it. As I've gone back through some of the test videos, I have noticed that this mic sounds like it might need a little bit more low mid, just to kind of round it out a little bit. But the other thing that I like to do with a compressor, especially in Omni Channel, is when I have the mix. This is one thing that I really like about Omni Channel, is the compressor gives me a mix knob, and I can set this mix knob to 50%. The reason that's important is with a mix ratio of 50% on this, it is allowing the signal from the de-esser to come straight through the compressor on through the rest of the chain, and it is only compressing half of the signal. So it's splitting the signal, and the half that's being compressed applies, the other half goes through. So this is essentially parallel compression. What's nice about that is that allows me to I can bypass that compressor, and my voice should really not change because I'm not actually using the threshold to do anything yet. And the minute I turn this on, I pull this back, you should start seeing a little bit of compression. Hey, 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 check 1, 2. Okay, so we've got about 6 dB of compression on the tops. So if I get really excited, we hit about, it was about 9 dB of compression. If I get really excited, yeah, we got about 9 dB. That's probably a little hot, but a little aggressive. We'll see. I'm not going to get into VCA FET and optical compressors right now. We will deal with that another time. Ratio, I typically run about 2 to 1 or so. We will get into ratios and things like that for compression on another video. TAC is typically up. I usually run my release down. Again, we'll do another video sometime on compressors. All I'm really wanting to do right now is just kind of knock the peaks down a little bit. Pull this threshold down just a little bit more. Hey, 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 hey. And so if I get to where I've got a little bit of compression going, 3 dB, 6 dB on the peaks, if I really want to work with this and have a little bit more control over how hard I'm hitting this compressor, because of the way I've got these ordered, I can go back in here to my de-esser module, which is before the compressor. And remember down here, I've got this makeup gain. So if I pull this makeup gain down, you're going to see that the amount of reduction that we're getting from this compressor is going to go away if I pull this down. And then if I push this up, if I push this output gain, this makeup gain off the de-esser back up, that's going to control the amount of signal that's hitting the compressor, and that will actually allow me to feather exactly how much compression I'm getting there. So again, if I pull this down, hey, hey, our compressor goes away, our compression goes away. And again, remember, because I'm only parallel compressing, you're still getting over here. It might not be as noticeable. Maybe I'll crank our mix up a little bit. We'll max our mix out so that maybe it's a little bit more notable. So right now, we've got very little, very, very, very little compression going on. But as I drive this gain back up, you're going to see that I'm starting to get some more compression. And as I pull this up, you're going to start seeing more and more and more. If I max this out, now we're getting really aggressive with our compression. So that probably sounds a little funny. I'm guessing it's probably pumping, just based on the way I know this thing to work. Now, one thing that I do like to do, and again, we're going to get into this in another video. So I've got a ratio of 2 to 1 right now. What that means is that I've got a 1 dB reduction for anything that's being compressed. Anything over the threshold is being reduced by 1 dB. 2 in, 1 out. If I were to go to a ratio of 3 to 1, for every 3 dB in, we get 1 out. That's a 2 dB reduction. So what I know is that if that's what I'm reducing, I can actually push this up a dB or so, and that'll kind of help compensate for that beforehand. And I kind of like to do that a little bit on the input side of my compressor, just because it helps to shape the characteristic of the compression. We do have, our mix output. We've got some additional makeup gain on the output of the compressor as well. But again, I'm going to pull this mix down just because I don't want all of this super, super compressed, but I do want some parallel compression that's going to kind of round out my voice a little bit. And again, this is typically how I set up a compressor on a track in a session, but I'm not typically doing a lot of talking like this. So these are the settings I would typically start with on a vocal track in a song, but this is most likely going to need some adjustment when I get done. Now, the other thing that I'm seeing here is our output is really not that hot. So what I want to do now is I'm going to, just because this is podcast kind of stuff for videos, I'm going to pull my threshold down on my limiter. And typically probably going to want my vocal to sit about, I'd say -6 is probably about as hot as I'm going to want this mic. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push this output up. And what you're going to see is, if I look at this, I push my output up, hey, 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 eventually that limiter is going to start kicking in. So if you notice, my limiter is keeping my output on my Omni Channel compressor, my Omni Channel plugin, sorry. It's limiting right around -6 dB. So if I really want to get aggressive with it, I can just crank this up and it's probably going to sound like absolute dog turds. So I'm going to pull this down so that realistically I just want to kind of level things out. You can see down here in OBS, I mean, we're all in OBS. I'm not used to running audio plugins in OBS, so it's kind of messing with me. But you can see now that my peak transients on my vocal mic here are stopping right around -6 dB. So that's a way that I can make sure that I'm not clipping my input to this source. So again, this is a test, just kind of doing some preliminary setup. I'm going to go in here, set up. I guess I could just go mono. It's not really going to matter. OBS wants to see most of what I'm doing, the way I'm routing in stereo anyway, and I'll get into that another time. The way I'm getting my audio into things is with VB Audio Matrix. Again, this is other things that we will get into another time. Anyway, I'm going to leave this, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go save, and let's see. Let's not do that. I want to save my setting. We're going to go with, what the hell do I want to call this? We'll just call this my talk back. And we'll save that. So now when we go in here, I can go up here and go full reset, and you can see what that's going to do. I can go in here. We got plug-in align or PA default. I'm not sure what PA default is. I never use it. We've got a bunch of stuff in here. We'll just pick some random shit here and see what happens. Hey, 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 hey. I have no idea what this is doing because I'm not monitoring this. But if I want my settings back, I just pull up my talk back. Everything goes back to the way I had it. The nice thing about this is because Omni Channel is globally available in everything in your computer, dial your settings, save it, and now whatever you've got this set as is available in Reaper or Pro Tools or Logic or whatever your DAW is. And that's why I wanted to run my Waves plugins in here, is because I've got a lot of these settings in Pro Tools and Reaper that I use, and I want to be able to utilize those in OBS. So I'm talking a lot, and I think I've got this dialed, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop this. I'm going to do a test and just watch this test back, see what it's doing, possibly edit some things or not, and maybe I'll jump back on another one.